Mr. Obama visited Jordan to reaffirm support for the longtime strategic ally of the United States, especially now as Jordan bears the burden of hundreds of thousands of Syrian refugees. King Abdullah said Jordan will not turn refugees away, but needs help with the financial costs, now $550 million a year and climbing.
What we are facing now today, obviously, is an urgent need for international community to help in humanitarian assistance to catch up to the challenges that we are facing as the countries bordering Syria.
King Abdullah said there are now 460,000 refugees in Jordan, and the number could double. He said there is a need to increase stockpiling of supplies inside Syria and aid for those who have fled. President Obama said he is working with Congress to provide $200 million in additional budget support for Jordan. The talks also covered concerns about prolonged sectarian conflict and what the king called possible fragmentation of Syria with disastrous regional consequences. Mr. Obama said he is very concerned about Syria becoming an enclave for extremist groups, saying that is why the United States continues working with partners to support a viable Syrian opposition.
Even if we execute our assistance and our coordination and our planning and our support flawlessly, the situation in Syria now is going to be difficult. And that's what happens when you have a leader who cares more about clinging to power than they do about holding their country together and looking after their people.
King Abdullah seemed to backtrack on his offer of asylum for the Syrian leader, saying the question is something that would have to be discussed at a higher level by the international community.
Obviously, from our point of view, is we're saying that we need an inclusive political transition as quickly as possible. So if the issue of asylum ever came up, that's something that I think all of us would have to put our heads together and figure out whether or not, if that sort of ends the violence quickly, is something worth pursuing.
The two men also discussed Mr. Obama's talks with Israeli and Palestinian leaders. King Abdullah said Jordan is ready to act as a facilitator for renewed efforts to restart direct negotiations for a two-state solution. Mr. Obama ends his Mideast trip Saturday with a visit to the ancient city of Petra in Jordan before leaving for Washington. Dan Robinson, VOA News with President Obama in Amman.